What's up guys, Dutogiraikonoka here, and welcome to the final Blackrock card review. Little disclaimer, first and foremost, this is not the first time I have reviewed these cards. It is in fact the second, so my reaction to them will not be, kind of a first time seeing them thing. I apologize for that, but the first time I did some dual streaming with a friend of mine a while back, Scop, and when I boosted the volume on the microphone he was using because it is quieter than mine, I somehow accidentally almost doubled my microphone's volume, and so for that video that I put up of my initial reaction, I was basically just screaming, or the volume equivalent of it at you guys, the viewers, and that's not what I want. So I apologize for the fact that this is not a kind of first reaction thing, but it's better than having obnoxiously loud volume, in my opinion. So, now that that's out of the way, let's get started. First up, we have Chromagus, an 8-mana 6/8 dragon, and a legendary card from Blackrock, with the text, whenever you draw a card, put another copy into your hand. The first thing this is immediately comparable to is Kel'Thuzad, and one of the major differences between him and Kel'Thuzad is A, he's a dragon, and B, while Kel'Thuzad is far superior if you are ahead on the board because you can just sacrifice minions, make favorable trades, and then bring them all back, and basically your opponent just loses. Chromagus is really good if you don't have anything on the board because when you start drawing cards, you get a ton of value out of it. So, maybe this has a little bit of a spot and control warrior where Kel'Thuzad could have been run as well. But all in all, I don't really think this is good enough to make it into any deck that is not as slow as Control Warrior. And so if, a deck doesn't run Kel'Thuzad, which is every deck except Control Warrior, which can't run him, then I don't think you're able to run Chromagus. There is one exception that we'll get to coming up, but that's neither here nor there. Actually, it is there. We'll get there. Don't worry. Anywho, next up is Demon Wrath, a 3-mana Warlock class spell. It deals 2 damage to all non-demon minions. This card is awesome. Honestly, this is one of the best cards that has been released in Blackrock, in my opinion. And the reason for this is that not only is this an early form of board clear for Warlock to get through aggro decks, and faster aggro decks like Face Hunter have been notoriously difficult for Warlocks because unless you want to use Hellfire, you don't really have a great way to clear the board. Well, even if you're Zoo, you use minions like Flame Imp, you use minions like the new Imp Gang Boss, you use minions like Nerubian Egg and the new Dragon Egg, and now you've got not only egg triggers, but demons that can survive this, and just a way to clear your opponent's board off. And on turn 3. I mean, that's amazing. The dream, obviously, is to have a Dragon Egg and a Nerubian Egg out, and then for your opponent to have 2 minions like a Knife Juggler and a Leper Gnome. And turn 3, you're just like, alright, Demon Wrath, I'm going to get a 4/4 and a 2/1, you're going to go home and cry. That's the dream. But even when the dream can't be fulfilled, this card is still pretty good. It has the potential to bite you in the butt with things like Direwolf Alpha and Knife Juggler, and I guess if you wanted to use this in a kind of Demon Lock, that could work. But in Zoo's case, you have Argus to help get Knife Juggler and Direwolf out of there. And in the case of Demon Lock, I'm not even going to go there. I still think Hand Lock is better than Demon Lock, but I don't know. Maybe Demon Wrath will change that. Next up we have Dragon Consort, a unique Paladin class minion, and it's a dragon! A class finally got a dragon! Oh my goodness. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, it's a 5-mana 5/5, which is great stats in the first place, and it has the battle cry, the next dragon you play costs 2 less. In other words, a 5-mana 5/5, which is already good, plus innervate your next dragon. So turn 5 Dragon Consort, turn 6 Chromagus, or Alistraza, or Onyxia, really just whatever, some big dragon, no big deal, just a big dragon. That's so good! I guess you could obviously just do something like, play a Dragon Consort and immediately drop a Fairy Dragon as well. But, come on, we all know there's more value in Dragon Consort than that. And basically this means that, unless another class ends up with a better dragon than this, Paladin is definitely going to be the dragon deck, or the dragon class, because dragons in general, as we've seen beforehand, all these dragons are mid-rangey. We don't have aggro dragons. We've got mid-rangey dragons. The lowest cost among dragons that have been released in Blackrock is 4 on Hungry Dragon and Dragonkin Sorcerer. And in Hearthstone, as it is right now, the lowest cost of a playable dragon is also 4 with Twilight Drake. I suppose you could make an argument that Fairy Dragon becomes playable in a Paladin Dragon deck, and you wouldn't necessarily be wrong. That could be playable, but yeah. Basically, we're not seeing an aggro dragon deck. We're going to see a mid-range one, and Paladin's already a great mid-range class. And when you get some kind of ridiculous value dragon like this, that's going to make it amazing. So, yeah. Dragon Paladin, that's going to be a thing. Next we have Druid of the Flame, a Druid class card. It is a 3-mana 2-2 with the battle cry of choose one, transform into a 5-2 minion or a 2-5 minion. I can't think of many situations where you need a 5-2, given that, you know, even Demon Wrath is out now, so... yeah, that 5-2 is probably not going to be used super frequently. It dies to most forms of removal. But the 2-5 is still pretty good. Also notable is that both the 2-5 and the 5-2 are beasts, so there is some synergy between Druid of the Flame and Druid of the Fang. I don't know. Maybe someone can make it work. I don't know if that's really good enough. But, still, a 3-mana 2-5 is pretty good, especially when you also consider the fact that Keeper of the Grove on turn 4 means that this can handle a Shredder and survive. I mean, even if you just Hero Power and punch the Shredder, this thing will take a Shredder. So, yeah. Pretty good. Next up, we have Emperor Thoris and a 6-mana 5-5 with the text, at the end of your turn, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. Strictly better than Lotheb. I suppose you could make an argument that he's not quite as good as Lotheb against a Druid or maybe an Oil Rogue to stop a combo. But if you think about it, there are so many new combos that this guy unlocks, and if you're holding like a Force of Nature Savage Roar as a Druid, this guy suddenly takes Force Savage into a turn 7 play, which is immediately able to be done right after he's played. So, this guy is just absolutely ridiculously good. If you're holding 6 cards in your hand when you play him, which is possible with decks like Priest and possibly Control Warrior, he's going to pay for himself the turn you play him. And honestly, I think worst case scenario, he'll probably end up being like a 2-mana 5-5 in terms of the mana he refunds you. So, this is definitely going in in every one of my Priest decks in place of Lotheb. It's just too good not to run. Way too good. And if your opponent lets it live for a turn, they've basically lost the game already. So, yeah. That's broken. Next up we have Fireguard Destroy, a 4-mana Shaman unique minion. It is a 3-6 normally, so pretty similar to Water Elemental, but it has the battle cry of gain 1/4 attack and overload 1. This means that at worst this is actually a 4-mana 4-6 or a turn 4 Druid of the Claw in bear form. And at best it is a 4-mana 7-6. Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. I guess you could Big Game Hunter that, but at that point then you just lost your Big Game Hunter for Dr. Boom to a 4-drop. That's pretty crazy. So, this thing will trade with Shredders, this thing will trade more than 50% of the time with, actually 3 out of 4 times this thing will trade with Lotheb. I guess you wouldn't really want to trade it with Sylvanas, because Sylvanas will take it, but still. Yeah. Trades with Lotheb, trades with Belcher, trades with Emperor Tharizon, that's a really good card. It even has the potential to trade with a Hungry Dragon and survive. And that'll happen 50% of the time, assuming you don't Shadow Word Death it. So, that's pretty crazy good. The fact that it has Overload isn't even necessarily a drawback, because if you play something like a turn 3 Unbound Elemental, then turn 4 you Fireguard Destroyer, you know, you're going to have a turn 3, 3-5, and then a turn 4, 4-6 at worst, which is still ridiculously good value. Turn 5, Shamans don't need to make that many plays, but as long as you don't overload for that much, maybe you could play like Stormforged Axe, and then you could Lava Shock. You'll end up with a Mana Crystal that you can't do anything with but Rock Biter, I suppose. But still. Yeah. As long as you don't overload turn 5 as well, without a Lava Shock to get rid of the overload, you can still hit a turn 6 Fire Elemental. And you're just going to steamroll your opponent. So, that's a crazy good card. Next up is Gang Up, a rogue unique class card. I will say in my first review I named this as one of the most OP cards that has come out of Blackrock. Because, you know, you get to choose a minion and shuffle 3 copies of it into your deck. It doesn't have to be your own minion, so you could take your opponent's Ragnaros, or your opponent's Sylvanas, or your opponent's Emperor Tharazan, or your own whatever you need at the time, and just shuffle 3 of those into your deck. Your own Leroy, and there goes, off of this guy alone, 18 damage into your deck. But at the same time, after watching a lot of other professional players' reviews of this, they bring up a good point, which is that if you're playing this card, it's 2 mana, and it does not immediately do anything. So, it's a really massive gain of value, but it's a huge loss in tempo as well, which means that maybe this card isn't as broken as I initially thought. Still, having to deal with something like 4 Ragnaroses or 4 Dr. Booms in one game seems absolutely terrifying to me. And I will not cede the fact that this card could very well be broken. But I don't know. Maybe it's not as broken as I thought, and maybe honestly, the fact that it's such a tempo loss makes it unplayable in Rogue, who cannot afford to lose that much tempo. We'll see. I still think Gang Up is really powerful, but maybe it's not broken. Maybe it's not broken after all. Next up is Majordomo Executus. He is a 9-mana 9/7, which is the trademark of Blizzard making a minion that nobody is going to use. We saw the same thing with Mechgineer Thermoplug. Basically, if you see a 9-mana 9/7, it's Blizzard's way of telling you, hey, this card is in here as a joke! You're not going to play it. So 9-mana 9/7, that's pretty much terrible. Having 7 health means it dies to Dr. Boom, but this thing also dies to Big Game Hunter, and its death rattle is to replace your hero with Ragnaros the Fire Lord. To confirm this, you do then have 8 health when you become Ragnaros. You gain the hero power of tap for 2, deal 8 damage to a random enemy, and if you use Alexstrasza on yourself, your health does go up to 15, but you are considered to be over your maximum at that point, and you cannot heal back to 15. Your maximum is still 8. Being at 15 from an Alexstrasza is just somehow an, over-the-top thing. Potentially, yes, becoming Ragnaros and being able to use 2 mana to deal 8 damage is pretty crazy, but on the other hand, you're stuck at a max of 8 health, and any class will kill you for that. Even Priest will, like, Arcanine double light your face or something, and then heal you. So, I mean, absolutely terrible card. Because we have Big Game Hunter! Yay! Next up is Quick Shot, a 2-mana Hunter class spell. The text is deal 3 damage if your hand is empty, draw a card. Strictly better than Dark Bomb, but in something like a Face Hunter deck, I'm not sure this is actually playable, because even if you were to empty your hand and then Quick Shot as your last thing to draw a new card, I mean, I guess this is really in a Face Hunter just kind of the equivalent of a Wolf Rider. That has the possibility to draw you a card, but I don't know. It's still 2 mana, deal 3 damage. I mean, that's just good no matter what deck you're playing, so that'll probably go in a Face Hunter deck. And with the potential to do something like turn 10, that Face Hunter's struggling to kill you, top deck's Quick Shot, shoots you for 3, top deck's Quick Shot, shoots you for 3, top deck's Leroy hits you, 12 damage, 1 turn. Have a nice day. Go home. You're crunk. So, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. But quick shot's interesting. That means a lot of classes now have 2 mana deal 3s other than Priest, because Warrior has Fiery War Axe, Mage has Frostbolt, Warlock has Dark Bomb, Druid has Wrath, Hunter has Quick Shot, Rogue has Eviscerate to deal 4. I guess Paladin doesn't have that treatment either. But still, 7 out of 9 have now the deal 3. I'm waiting for Priests! Next up we have Resurrect, a 2-mana priest class spell with the text to summon a random friendly minion that died this game. So, The first thing that is immediately apparent about this is that with Hungry Dragon being playable in the Priest in the emerging meta, and already having Blade Master, if you were to resurrect either of them, their battle cries do not trigger. So you have the potential to resurrect a 4/7 or a 5/6. You also have the potential to resurrect a Pyromancer, and the way that interaction works is Pyro actually will trigger if resurrected. And you have the potential to resurrect a Northshire. The thing with Resurrect is the only card right now that it could replace is Light of the Naru. And if you were to do something like that, it might not be a terrible replacement, because quite frankly, in a priest deck with 16 minions, if you have, in any one game, maybe 2 to 3 bad shots to resurrect, one of which is a potential for a board clear, and the other is potential for card draw, and then just a bunch of ridiculous minions to bring back, like Emperor Tharzan, Dr. Boom, Sylvanas, Hungry Dragon, Blade Master, and Auchenai. This thing gets a lot of good value and has a really good chance to, and on top of that, if you have Resurrect in like a start hand, and you play a Blade Master, the nightmare is that your opponent, like as a mage, fireballs it, and then pings it, or, you know, if you play it and just leave it at 3 health, they kill it off with like a Frostbolt or a War Axe, or really any of the 7 deal 3 damage cards that I've mentioned. But now, just with the threat of Resurrect, at least early on in the season, people are going to be super scared about killing a turn 3 Blade Master that doesn't have a circle used on it, because it's like, okay, what if your opponent has 2 Resurrects? Turn 3, drop a Blade Master, they clear it, turn 4, 2 are back, both 4/7s. That'd be pretty broken. So honestly, I think this could be a viable replacement for Light of the Naru. The thing is, something's going to have to keep Face Hunter down, because the entire point of having Light of the Naru is it's a bonus 6 health in your deck, in addition to a minion to trade with, all for 1 mana. So, I mean, if Face Hunter and some of the faster aggro decks are kind of put in check by maybe the emerging Zoo and other kinds of decks, then Resurrect will be pretty good. But in a really, really fast aggro meta, I don't think you can justify running Resurrect, because it's too slow. It's hyper value if you can get it to work, especially if you decide to hold Pyromancer and Northshire in some of the more control matchups, like against Control Warrior, against Freeze Mage, although you'd never know the difference between Freeze Mage and Mech Mage until it was too late and you've already played something. And, well, I guess against Druid, you could hold those kinds of cards as well. And so Resurrect could be a game changer against those guys, although Priest matchup against Control Warrior is already stupidly favored for Priest. And against Druid, Priest is still favored, although I guess this could swing it further in Priest's favor. I guess the dream would be to use this against a Rogue, where you play something like a Blade Master and instead of sapping it, you just let it die and then resurrect it. And that'd be pretty good. But Resurrect is a really weird card like Unstable Portal and Call Pet, in that it has a chance to be extremely valuable, and it has a chance to kind of just whiff and be a dud card in your deck. So I don't know if it is constructed playable, because usually cards that are potential duds, even if they are potential game winners as well, the fact that they can lose you games on their own means that they're not playable, the same reason that Deathlord and Unstable Portal typically aren't played. So, we'll see about Resurrect. I'll be trying it instead of Light of the Naru and Control Priest, but I don't know if it's constructed playable. This is definitely one to watch, though, because this has a lot of potential. Next up is Revenge, 2 mana, warrior class spell. Deal 1 damage to all minions. If you have 12 health or less, deal 3 damage instead. Really just a worse version of Whirlwind, because if you have 12 health or less as a control warrior, you're about to die, and honestly, against really fast aggro decks, control warriors already favored, because you'll just armor up and go ahead and brawl or something. So, I mean, I guess the only situation where this is super useful is against mustered recruits. If your opponent gets like 4 Silverhand recruits going, musters them, and then just smashes you in 1 turn, you could revenge. But you could already brawl. So, yeah. Warrior's just not going to get down to 12 health and then still be able to recover, because they're going to have just armor coming up over and over and over and over. In any matchup, if the warrior gets down to 12 health, he's basically already lost. So, I don't think Revenge is constructed playable, but I could be wrong. Next up is Solemn Vigil, a 5-mana Paladin class spell. The text is draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each minion that died this turn. Well, if you play it for 5 mana, then it's a way worse Arcane Intellect. But on the other hand, Paladin is one of 2 classes that is really comfortable sacrificing minions, and the other one being Hunter with Unleash the Hounds. So, on turn 3 you do something like Muster for Battle, and on turn 2 you add a Shielded Minibot. Turn 4, if you can, of course, you sack all 4 of those minions in. You now have at least 4 dead minions, and a potential 5th dead minion from your opponent, hopefully a 5th dead minion. I don't know what you just sacrificed 5 damage into that did not die by turn 5, but I guess your opponent had like a Shredder that spawned Millhouse or a Succubus or something. But what that means for you is even with only 4 minions dead, this becomes a 1-mana card, and if you combo it with Volcanic Drake in a Dragadin deck, which is something I think is going to be coming, you then get 1 mana, draw 2 cards, and then you drop a 2-mana 6/4. So, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of potential value from one of the 2 classes that can sacrifice minions comfortably and already has a dragon that benefits from you sacrificing minions. So my guess is, you know, maybe this isn't quite worth it. I know Paladins still need card draw as a class. It's not one of their biggest things, but I mean, hey, the value potential on this just from a Muster for Battle alone is pretty ridiculous. And if you do something like a quality Pyromancer or a quality Consecrate, again, just your opponent's minions dying still triggers this, and you could get some crazy value out of that on something like turn 8. If you can kill off most of your opponent's minions, and they have a big board. So, this is another card to watch, kind of like Resurrect. I think this has a little bit lower of a value ceiling than Resurrect does, but we'll see. We'll see. Next up is Twilight Whelp. Oh my goodness. Please, Priest, class, Dragon, Dragon Priest. Will it happen? It's a 1-mana 2/1 with the battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, gain 2 health. It's a zombie chow, right? No. Not a zombie chow. Not even. So here's the problem. We already went over earlier the fact that the dragon decks are going to have to be mid-range, because in all of Hearthstone, the only viable early game dragon, aside from now Twilight Whelp, is Fairy Dragon. And in Priest, Fairy Dragon is terrible because you cannot hit it with Power Word Shield, you cannot heal it, you cannot give it Velen's Chosen. It's just not good. So, I mean, even if this is supposedly a zombie chow, when you play it, that means you have some dead card in your hand that you're not going to be playing for a few turns. So, yeah. Not the best card for that. Not to mention it's also an early game, card, well, I kind of went over that already, the fact that, you know, it doesn't synergize with the mid-ranginess of Dragon decks. So, it's just, Dragon Priest isn't going to happen, unfortunately. Paladin's just the better deck for it. This is really similar to a situation where Priest got upgraded Repair Bot with the release of all the mechs. It was a 5-mana 5/5 with the Battle Cry, give a mech plus 4 health. Now in a mech deck you'd think that'd be ridiculous. You get a 5/9 for 5 basically. Yes please. But it wasn't enough to get Priest into mech decks because the upgraded Repair Bot came in too late. It was not aggro enough to fit into a mech deck. And Dragon decks are more mid-range, and Twilight Whelp is not mid-range enough to fit into that. So again, you got a good card if only the rest of the dragons worked with it. But no, it's not playable. So Dragon Priest won't happen, but at least we still have Hungry Dragon. And last but not least, we have Volcanic Lumberer, a Druid class minion? We already had one of those, but I guess we can have a second one, because Druid, the minion class. It is a 9-mana 7/8 with Taunt, which costs 1 less for each minion that died this turn. That means this is similar to Ironbark, but the problem is that Druid does not sack minions of all classes. Currently, the most viable Druid strategy is to stick 1 or 2 minions to the board, usually something like a Shaden Ramus, and then go Force of Nature Savage Roar, and just kill your opponent. If you're sacrificing your minions, you're sacrificing power for Force of Nature Savage Roar. So Volcanic Lumber is a direct non-bow with Druid's best win con. He's even worse than Ironbark is in Constructed right now. And in Arena, not that much minion sacking happens each turn in the late game. So I mean, I guess in Arena you could end up in this kind of ridiculous situation where, you know, you just do a ton of trading in one turn and then drop a Volcanic Lumber on turn 5. Yeah, okay. That's pretty ridiculous. But in Constructed, it doesn't fit with Druid strategy, so it's not playable. Similar to how Twilight Whelp worked. I guess that's all of them. So, what can happen now? Well, let me say one thing first. The card review is done. If you came here just to see the cards and my opinion of them, then thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. But if you also are interested in just kind of a meta breakdown of what I think is happening, that starts now. So stick with me for a little bit here. What I can see happening in the new meta is, first of all, a major improvement to Zoo. Actually, the video right after this one will be my review of what the new Zoo deck will look like. And basically with Imp Gang Boss and Dragon Egg and Demon Wrath, Zoo just got a lot stronger. You've just got these minions that are already synergizing with damage taking, and which directly make Flamewaker a terrible card to run against them, even though Flamewaker is ridiculously good against Face Hunter, which is ridiculously good against Zoo. You see the triangle I'm building here? I think that's... nah, not quite. Triangles are hard. That's a triangle. Yeah. But in addition to having that new aggro triangle of aggro decks that beat each other, and absolutely, when I say beat, I mean absolutely stomp each other, you're also going to have the emerging Dragadin deck, which I think can actually run Chromagus only because of Dragon Consort. And let's see, Shamans as a class will shift a little towards Overload because of Fireguard Destroyer and Lava Shock, and therefore will be a mid-rangey class maybe to compete with Dragadin? Maybe? Earth Elemental? You never know, maybe. Maybe it can happen. Fire Elemental and Blackwing Corruptor duking it out. But that could happen. I don't know if Druids are going to start running the Druid of the Flame, Druid of the Claw. Or not Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Fang. Druid of the Flame and Druid of the Fang synergy thing. Or not. But that'll be interesting. Will Rogues use Gang Up? I don't know. We'll have to see. If they do, I'm scared. If they don't, Hallelujah, because they're certainly not going to use Dark Iron Skulker. Hunter, they got Quick Shot. Okay. They got Quick Shot and Volcanic Drake, so face basically now gets that big finisher of a minion that is similar to Highmane after they unleash the Hounds and just go ham with trades for one glorious turn. Priest, we got Resurrect and Hungry Dragon, which could replace maybe Sludge Belchers or something like that in Priest decks just to make a ridiculous tempo steamroll really for Priest, because if you get something like Injured Blademaster into Hungry Dragon, and let's say even off of the Hungry Dragon your opponent gets a 3-attack 1-drop, like Dust Devil, you sack your Blademaster in right there, and then turn 5 double Resurrect. And then just give something a Power Word Shield for the heck of it. The Rogue's gonna cry, he's only got 2 saps. You've just got 3 minions that are gonna roll him over. So, yeah. That'll be really strong. So Priest has now kind of a tempo swing that is possible with the new cards. What other classes? Let's see. Paladon is Dragadan. Mage didn't get that many improvements. I mean, they got Flame Waker to kind of beat Face Hunter, but Mage hasn't really gotten that much of a buff. And Secret Mage is already this really ridiculous thing that could kind of be the bane of Dragadan, given that Dragadan gets going turn 4+, and if your opponent drops a Mirror Entity, well, you're in trouble. So we'll see Secret Mage, Dragadan, Face Hunter, what else? Zoo, Control Priest with a tempo swing, Control Warrior as always. Maybe Druid gets the combo going between Druid of the Flame and Druid of the Fang, maybe not. Either way, we're still going to see combo Druid. And what class am I forgetting? Rogue. Maybe we see a little bit of a shift toward Control Rogue, because you do still technically have removal just like Control Warrior and Control Priest with Sap combined with Assassinate, and now with Gang Up, you've also got, 4 Ragnaroses in one deck, potentially. That's really the strongest control I've seen so far, especially given that you only really need 1 to 2 legendaries in the deck like Dr. Boom and Rag, and then you can just... Or it wouldn't be Dr. Boom and Rag now, it would be Emperor Thoris on and Dr. Boom, and you can just roll your opponent clean over with that kind of Gang Up, Emperor Tharzan, Dr. Boom package. So maybe Control Rogue will see a surfacing? But again, Gang Up is a massive tempo loss. And so Control Rogue would have to have some really good tempo recovery to make that work. Maybe it'd be Chromagus and Emperor Tharzan, just because of the potential to copy removal spells like Backstab, Eviscerate, Tinker Oil, Assassinate, things like that. Otherwise, Rogue's just going to stay with Oil Rogue, which can already potentially burst you for over 20 damage in 1 turn, because Blizzard's not happy about combos, but they let Druid and Rogue keep running around with combos while Priest still can't manage to get Divine Spirit to work. I'll always be salty about that. But we'll see. Anyway, that's my thoughts of the emerging metagame breakdown and the current cards. We've got some relevant stuff, we've got some irrelevant stuff. But it's all pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching. And again, I apologize that this is not a first look at these cards, that I did in fact have to do a second recording, but hey, so it had to be. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.